Okay, I think we are live. Hello and welcome, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
All right, so let's jump into the webinar with a quick introduction of ourselves. I'm Gerrit, Head of Sales and Marketing at Emteria. From a background, I'm an engineer, but I also studied economics, and I joined the company in this year. Worked in several other companies before, also software startups. So that's kind of my industry, let's say, software startups. That's what I enjoy doing, and I'm very excited, to have you all in this webinar, and I'm looking forward to this webinar. I hand over to Manfred.
Yeah, hi from me. Also, warm welcome. Glad you all joined us today, and I see a few familiar names, which makes me very happy. For everyone else that doesn't know me, I'm Manfred. I studied computer science and joined Emteria beginning of last year. I'm head of product at Emteria, so I'm guiding our development, but I'm also in webinars and appointments with customers to get their requirements from a technical point of view and to really understand what our customers need. And I'm looking forward to your feedback, your questions. We have plenty of time in the end, and feel free to begin, Gerrit.
Thank you, Manfred. Let's jump into the presentation before we lose too much time. As we already mentioned, it's about building and managing embedded Android devices today. It's Manfred and me hosting the webinar. It will take roughly 45 minutes. We can do it a little bit longer. That's no problem. We have an open end for the Q&A session. We start with the introduction to Emteria in general. We dive into building embedded Android devices with emteria.OS. That's basically the operating system based on Android that Emteria has to offer. And after that, we will dive into the live demo of the Emteria Fleet Manager. So it's about managing and remotely monitoring embedded Android devices. And in the end, we will have, as already mentioned, the open Q&A session. All right, this is Emteria. Roughly 18 people. I think on October 1st, we will be 18 eventually. And at the bottom, you can see already a big part of the team. So it's a very diverse international team based here in Aachen, Germany. We are on this mission to bring the natural benefits of Android to the professional world. UI, UX, availability of apps, of libraries, of course, of developers as well. All these kinds of advantages that come with Android. It all started with Igor in 2017, with bringing emteria.OS to the Raspberry Pi 3, or Android to the Raspberry Pi 3. Made us a little bit famous, I would say, that it's at least in this Raspberry Pi Android bubble. And today we are close, or we have around 100 business customers around the globe and roughly 100,000 registered users, which makes us very proud, obviously. So what are we doing? Companies need to build, scale, and manage embedded Android solutions, but this is sometimes a bit of an uphill battle. That's what we see in the market. That's what we hear from our clients and potential clients. And to support our clients throughout this journey, which may become an uphill battle, what we try to avoid, we start with building powerful products together with our customers and clients. So how do we do that? emteria.OS is available for a broad variety of hardware, of different chipsets, of different SoCs, or system on chips, SOMs, system on modules, etc. We have, of course, big Android knowledge and expertise, and we can help you to integrate those peripherals that make your use case work. For example, NFC readers, barcode scanners, or any kind of connectivity module, whatever it is. Yeah. Later, it's about shortening time to market, so bringing this powerful solution to the market. We offer solutions to provision devices with zero touch, so easy deployment at scale, let's put it. It's all industry ready. It's nothing that you have to develop on your own. It's all available out of the box just for you to use it. And in the end, for an infinite time, basically, you will be able to manage devices remotely with Emteria, but also keep the devices secure, sending over-the-air security updates to those devices. And all these updates are provided by Emteria as well. All right, that's emteria.OS. It looks a bit messy on the slide. I'm sorry for that, but the core message here is that you usually have a hardware, right? Any kind of hardware from Raspberry Pi to more industrial hardware. You can see it later. And you have a custom app that makes your product, right? Like the user interface, for example. And in between, we put emteria.OS as the operating system, which is basically the Android open source project with a Linux kernel, as it is with Android. The kernel that we are using is public. You can also modify it and build your own kernel and build your own Android or emteria.OS with Emteria to integrate custom drivers, etc. And on top of that, we put a lot of enterprise functionality, let's say, right? So for example, kiosk mode, app auto start, but also VNC, SSH, you name it. I just want to focus on two of those apps here for the beginning. It's the kiosk mode and app auto start, as Manfred will use those examples later, and as they are very commonly used in the industrial and professional space. I see chats and questions coming in. That's beautiful. That's awesome. Please put your questions into the questions column, as the others did already. Yeah, so kiosk mode. Kiosk mode enables you to just start or make one or two or three, your choice, apps available to the users of your product. So I'm basically locking the device down to one function or to just one purpose. Yeah. In combination with auto start, you already have an industrial solution, as the auto start enables you to just boot the device in this app that you've chosen in the kiosk mode. And this way you can basically hide the complete Android environment from your users. The user will just see what the user should see. For example, take a vending machine, right? It should only say, show the vending UI and nothing else, right? And this is possible with kiosk mode and app auto start. There's this try for free button here, so you can, of course, try and evaluate emteria.OS for free for as long as you like. Just register at emteria.com, download the evaluation version, and build your use case. If you like it, we can go on later. If you don't like it, you can simply throw it away. All right. Hardware plus emteria.OS plus custom app or apps is an embedded Android device. And now this embedded Android device can be based on, as I said, Raspberry Pi. This is where we come from as Emteria, but we move more and more into, let's say, new areas, into more professional areas of hardware that we support. For example, we have partners like Technexion or Phytech. They have both NXP chipset-based hardware that we support with Emteria out of the box. You can easily install, start off the shelf, and later customize the hardware to your needs, which is what is not possible with the Raspberry Pi, obviously. On top of that, we're adding Intel x86-based hardware architecture this year. Yeah, will come this year. And we're also adding the first Rockchip-based board, which is the Rock Pi 4B+ this year. Here again, a little blue button, become a partner. Feel free to reach out to us if you have a custom hardware, if you are a hardware OEM. We are very open to partnerships in the area of hardware, but also in the software space. Let's have a look at some industries and use cases. I don't want to go into every use case here, but point out the first one. SOCAR, it's a Switzerland-based gas station chain. They run their POS, so their point of sale terminals on emteria.OS. It's 400 devices in total. They're all managed with Emteria Fleet Manager, which you will see later. They are able to provide updates to the devices, deliver them over the air, right? See health status of the devices, do remote configuration of the devices, everything remotely. And another example I would like to point out is on the right side. Zip, Simple Intelligent Parking from the UK. They do parking solutions, and they are also running the smart parking meters and ticket vending machines on emteria.OS. And we got a very nice quote from them. Everything was up and running in less than 3 hours. without any one of us needing to help there. So they did it all on their own, which is very, very nice. However, you don't have to do it on your own. You can always reach out to us, but they managed to do it on their own. Yeah, as you can see, there are several industries. They all have in common that it's usually customer-facing products that they have, right? A product where we as a customer or user interact with, but it's not always the case. All right, let's come to the Fleet Manager before we talk too much. The Fleet Manager is basically the cloud, the Emteria cloud, that enables you to manage emteria.OS or Android devices remotely. You can perform all actions that you can usually perform on the device remotely from a browser anywhere in the world. And on the other side, you also get the information like data, like memory usage, like installed apps, whatever, from the device to the Fleet Manager, and you're able to see all of that in your browser. Manfred will show you in a second. I mean, this is what you want as a customer, as a Fleet Manager, right, or as a fleet operator. However, in the background, there's a lot of technology needed for that. And this is basically what we focus on at Emteria, or what we focus on too, is provide this infrastructure to update devices over the air, to manage it, to build Android, etc. And yeah, that's it from the slide side. Now we will dive into the live demo of the Fleet Manager. We'll first start with a dashboard, with an overview. We go into the device groups. We're going to show you how to monitor devices and groups. Manfred will send some MDM commands to the device. App auto start in kiosk mode, as you remember, and we will create custom commands for an update schedule. And in the end, we will talk about policies, which is kind of a rule that you apply to a group or one device. All right, I quickly change the screen that I'm sharing. And we'll close this one here. So that's the Emteria website, emteria.com. This is where you enter the Fleet Manager simply by logging in. So I have to look a little bit to the right side now as I see the screen there. I log in, and with my training account, by the way, this is a training account that we have set up. All the devices that are in this training account are somewhere here in our office in Aachen. However, it's very nice to showcase the functionality. So that's the first page you see. It's the dashboard, we call it. You have an overview of your devices or licenses, basically. The green ones are in use. In case we have unused licenses left for emteria.OS, they will be shown in gray. In the middle, you can see the online services. If they're activated, it's green. If not, they are orange or red, depending on the status. And the same goes for customer service. Subscription, in this case, in the training account, we don't have it. All right. By the way, this is, let's say, version 1.0 of the Fleet Manager dashboard. So this is the very first version of it. It will get a whole new styling, a bit more modern, more modern styling and everything updated. Within this year, beginning of next year, we expect to have a whole new look and feel within this dashboard. But it works all fine. So let's start with the license groups. In this case, we pretend to be a ticket vending machine operator or manufacturer plus operator, right? Having two customers. One is a subway operator and the other is a museum. And they both have ticket vending machines. Yeah? So they are both customers of us. And the subway operator has 6 devices in total, different kind of devices. We see Raspberry Pi 3 here, Raspberry Pi, we see Compute Module 4, and other devices. That's maybe not 100% realistic, as you would usually have very similar devices, but for the sake of the use or the demo, it's good. The other customer is this museum having 4 devices, and we have a third group of testing devices. So this is basically kind of a staging group. So this is where you basically provision the device the first time, you test everything, and if everything goes well, you can later take it and just put it into a different, sorry, I need to unfold this one here first. And now I could go here and put it into this group and ship it to the customer, so to say. So that's easy drag and drop. And this is how you can basically structure your devices or your fleets or your group of devices, depending on how you would like to call it. Other customers, they structure their devices based on the country they are deployed in or based on any kind of category that makes sense for your use case. So this is when I would like to take over or hand over to Manfred. Thank you very much so far. We will see each other again in the Q&A session in a couple of minutes. Cool. Have fun, Manfred.
Yeah, thanks, Garrett, for organizing the devices into groups. That's very important. We will see in a few minutes why. But the MDM capabilities are under devices and management. I hope you can see my screen. And here you can see all your groups that have a premium subscription attached to them. So again, we have our two customers and the testing devices. And here you can see different health and status summaries about the devices. So the most important one perhaps is if the device is online. Is it working? This is the best indicator perhaps that something is wrong with this device because it is offline. As a second indicator, we have our policies. What policies are, I will come to in the end of the webinar. And as a third indicator is the OS version. So we can see this device is online, and as Garrett already said, the devices are all in our office. So I have the device here right next to me. It's a Raspberry Pi 4. It's running smoothly next to me. And we can see some more details if we click on the device name. And this is the whole device state that is transmitted to the MDM server if and only if MDM is enabled. And here you can not only see the emteria version, but also the Android version that the emteria version is based on. But also you can see all versions of the apps that are installed on the device. So it's not only important to update and keep up to date your operating system, but also your applications. And here you can see really the version which is running on your device and decide if you need to update to a newer version. Another health indicator might be for some customers the available memory on the device. So is there something wrong running on too much memory? But I can see on my device there's plenty of memory still available. And last but not least, for example, the battery status. If you're running from a battery, you might want to know when the battery is getting to, for example, 30%. So you know I have to charge it the next day. And these are examples of health and status that you can look up in our MDM solution. In the future, we want to extend it by alerts that you can really see when a certain threshold is reached, then the devices are listed and you can jump right into devices that need your attention. And yeah, this is the goal where we are heading to. And the next step would be that you get like an SMS or an email about devices that, for example, go offline and shouldn't be offline at any point in time. But these are all, status and health. So you are supervising the devices. The most powerful feature of MDM, in my opinion, are that you can perform actions on the device. And this is what we call commands. So you send a command to a device, and the command is executed on the device. So let me take an example for you. I have the device which is right next to me, and so I don't have to hold it in the camera all the time. I've enabled VNC, and you can see the screen now on my screen. And for example, I could send a command to install a certain package. Let's take, for example, our Total Commander. It's a very popular and free and open source file browser that I really like to use. And I just specify the URL that I've uploaded the Total Commander to, the package name and the version code. And now the browser is in the foreground. And when I send the command to the device downloads the package and installs it. And it will take a few seconds, but we should see the Total Commander appear in the app list. Yeah, here we go. So now you have seen I've installed a package just from the MDM. I could have done it on the device because the device is right next to me. But if you have hundreds of devices around the globe, then it's very tedious and very costly to go from one device to another. It's much more convenient and way better to do it remotely from your home or your workplace. So now I want to show you a few more things about the commands. We have put the commands into 3 categories because, each category can more or less do the same, but they have some distinct differences. So our examples are the most common, most asked for commands. So here you only have a subset of all the possibilities available, which most of our customers use. So a lot of customers like to have their own boot animation when they start the devices. And what Garrett already mentioned, that auto start and kiosk mode, this is like a very common combination. So kiosk mode exchanges your usual launcher with our kiosk launcher. And in this kiosk launcher, only apps are allowed which you have predefined in the setup kiosk apps. So you set up kiosk mode, you set up the apps that you want to have there, you can put a password on the kiosk mode, and now the user in front of the device can only use the apps that you have defined. The user cannot fiddle with any settings, not deinstall anything. The management of the device is limited to the MDM that we offer. And for the examples, you also have very easy to use, let's call it parameters. So for example, for the kiosk mode, you don't have to know anything about the system, anything about variables, properties, or stuff like that. It's just a drop-down box. You enable kiosk mode or you disable it. It's very easy to use, obviously. It's a little bit more complicated with the commands, because here you can, for example, really change the preferences of the system. And you see you need way more and way more specific properties or names and preference names. We filled it out with some examples that you get a gist what needs to be entered. But you really have to know which property you want to change so that it is the proper effect on the system. And last but not least, we have the editor. The editor here can enter JSON strings which change properties. So I have a small example. We've added to our update app the possibility to enter specific hours that updates are allowed. So you can define a starting hour and an ending hour, and only between the starting hour and the end hour updates can be performed. This is very important. For example, in our hypothetical museum customer, you don't want to update your systems during the opening hours. So you might want to set up a starting hour of 10 o'clock and an ending hour of 6 o'clock. And this is a brand new feature that we currently only have on the device. We didn't make a command out of it yet, but I know the properties that have to be set, and I can do it by the JSON. So here you have a very crude example how the JSON has to be structured, but I will just copy my prepared example here, and you see it's pretty long. So I want to perform 2 actions at once. So it's like a processing subcommands. So I will not only send 1 command, but 2 commands. And I want to set the start time to 10 o'clock. And what I have to know is that the update application knows these commands, change preferences, for example. And the second command is also change preferences for the update app, and it's the ending time. And I save it here, and you can see as soon as I've saved the JSON, it looks similar to the commands that you can select. And afterwards, you can send this command to the device, and the starting and ending date will be set. So this way, it's also possible to have control over your own application that has its own commands. So we cannot know what command we have to send to your device to to change properties about your application. But you know it because you've created your application. And this way you can use the editor to really control your own application. So thus far, we have seen that we've installed one application on the device. And to be honest, on one device, we haven't saved much time if the device isn't far away. The beauty comes that you can not only send commands to one device, but to a group of devices. And the Raspberry Pi 4 in this case is in the testing group. And if I go to the testing group, I also have a command tab here, and I can send commands to the group, and then the command will be copied and sent to each individual device. So I could have installed the APK on 100 or 1,000 devices at once. I don't have to go through each and every device itself, but I can do it in bulk. And this is what really saves time and money, because you don't have to do it individually. And this is also this is the reason why it is very important that you cluster your devices in a meaningful way. So you might have different app for different customer, and then it makes sense to have one group for each customer, for example, so that you can really send commands to the whole group. One thing you have to know about commands are that they are fire and forget. We call it that way. Garrett also already mentioned it. This means if I send a command to a device, then things happen on the device, but the user in front of it might change the settings, and I can know that the command was successfully performed. So for example, the installing of the total commander, this was successful, but I cannot assume now that the total commander is installed on the device, because like an hour later, the user might have deleted it. So after the command is performed, I don't really know anything about the state of the device. And this might be a problem. So one more remark. The command is pending as long as the device is offline. So it's not that when you send a command to an offline device that the command is lost. Then the system will wait till the device comes online, and then the commands are performed. But sometimes I want to achieve something else with the command. For example, if I enable the kiosk mode, then I don't want the user to disable the kiosk mode. And this is what policies come into play. Policies are basically commands. So if you click on edit, you will already see that it is add command, and then the interface looks exactly like in commands. But the commands that you add to the policy are regularly checked. So they define a device state that you want to achieve. And if the device fulfills this state, then the device is in a policy consistent state. And it is best explained with an example. So let's, for example, take our customer 2 and say that the customer wants to have the kiosk mode enabled. And I take in the examples kiosk mode enabled. And for example, the total commander that we installed on the device, we want the user to be able to access the total commander. So we have to set up the kiosk app list, and I put the total commander in the application list. And this shall suffice for our example. So now, for every device in this group, when the device comes online and periodically, like every 10 to 15 minutes, the policy is checked on the device. And if it is not fulfilled, then the commands are executed one after another. And then the state of the device is again checked. And if the policy is fulfilled, you get a green dot in the policy state. If it is not fulfilled, it is a red dot. And let me show you one thing. So we have the device, and we've set the policies up for the customer 2. And we have our device in our staging or testing area. So let's assume it's a device that is assembled, and we have tested if it's working from a hardware perspective. And now we know, okay, it's in a clean state, but I want to configure it for customer 2. And now I don't have to do it manually. I just have to move the device from the testing group to the customer group. For this, I have to go to purchases and licenses. And as Garrett showed, you can just drag and drop the device here, move it, and you see immediately that things are changing on the device. The device was moved to the other group. It got the policy of the group and executed one command after the other. So you see we are in kiosk mode. We can only access the total commander. Yeah, so if you set up your groups in a meaningful way and have an idea what the perfect state of a device in this group would be, you save a lot of time and effort, and you just have to drag and drop your devices from one group to another. And one prominent example is a group for maintenance. And here you pull devices in that you want to maintain. And there you can disable, for example, the kiosk mode. You can enable ADB or SSH connection, VNC, something like that you can really have the full access to the device. And after you've maintained the device, you don't have to worry about, did I forget to set up kiosk mode? Did I forget to put a password on something? Did I put it into the right state back? the moment you switch the device from your maintenance group to your customer group, all commands are applied once again, and you can easily see in the policy summary if the policy is fulfilled or not. Yeah, in this case, it is fulfilled. The kiosk mode is enabled. The total commander is accessible. And this is my small example. Feel free to download emteria.OS. It's free. You can play around with the operating system. If you would like to play around with MDM, feel free to contact me or Garrett. We can give you a license for some weeks to test and see all the capabilities. I would like to thank you very much for your attention, for participating, and I'm looking forward to your questions. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Manfred. And I will quickly close your screen. I had a lot of fun. We hope, or I hope you liked it. Yeah, thank you very much for your attention, for participating. As I said, please book a personal meeting with us. We can go into the details of your use case. Now, we talked a lot, but we would be actually very interested in understanding a bit more about you as well. And yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, please register, download emteria. It's for free. You can really dive into the operating system, try your app yourself, or if you need help, reach out, and we are more than happy to help you. Thanks for participating.
Perfect. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.